a shooting star. It's a brilliant streak of light that suddenly appears in the night sky and then, just as suddenly, disappears. Scientifically, we know that shooting stars are just small rocks that are caught in Earth's gravitational pull. As they enter the atmosphere, the friction with the air is so great that the rock burns up in a majestic streak of light. A shooting star is also a phrase used to describe an incredible human phenomenon, a person who seems to appear from out of nowhere with an almost superhuman talent. With their talent, they make an immediate impact, culturally or in their specific field. But then, just as suddenly, their brilliant career comes to an end. Robert Johnson, the blues guitarist of the early 20th century, who wrote the song Crossroads, was one such shooting star, as was Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, all of whom had remarkable musical talent, but also a fatal flaw that ended their careers, indeed their lives, far too early. In sports, we have the example of Pelle Linbdergh and Len Bias. In the Negro Leagues, there was a pitcher who was thought to be the rival of the great Satchel Paige, but after a brilliant season, which brought the Negro National League championship to Philadelphia, Stuart "Slim" Jones self-destructed. Welcome to Philadelphia Baseball History. On this channel, we talk about the history of baseball from the A's to the Phillies to the 19th century. And sometimes we talk about contemporary baseball issues. So if you love baseball and if you love Philadelphia, stick around and subscribe to our channel. Show your hometown pride. Philadelphia baseball history merchandise, t-shirts, phone cases, masks, notebooks, mugs, and more. Check out the exclusive designs in our merch store and celebrate your favorite Philadelphia-based team. Like far too many Negro League stars, there is far too little known about Slim Jones. We know that he was born in Baltimore on May 6, 1913. We know that he grew to be a tall 6 foot 6 inches, and at 6 foot 6 inches, he only weighed 180 pounds. That thin physique is what earned him the nickname Slim. Slim Jones was a left-handed sidearm throwing pitcher. He began his career with the Baltimore Black Sox in 1932. But at age 19, he wasn't the most reliable personality. That season, he only pitched in 4 games, losing 3 of them. But Slim returned in 1933 and with a greater sense of responsibility played out the entire season. Now, it's hard to gauge the players of the Negro Leagues of that era by their statistics. Unfortunately, there wasn't a practice of keeping accurate statistics consistently. According to some sources, Slim's record was 4-2 in 1933. According to others, he was 5-2. At any rate, he then played in the Puerto Rican Winter League and by all accounts led that league in strikeouts with 210. When that league came to a close, Jones was ready to join the Philadelphia Stars, and it is his 1934 season that established his reputation as a shooting star. Again, accurate statistics from this period are hard to find. There is also the fact that the Negro League teams would play not only their own season within their league, but they would also play numerous exhibition games, sometimes against Major League teams, and barnstorming games where the Negro League teams would travel around the country and sell tickets to play a community's best amateur baseball team. In league play in 1934, Jones' record was either 23-3 or 21-6, depending on which source you use. But if you include games that were not official league games, Jones' record was 32-4. What was most impressive, however, was that Jones came up against the legendary Satchel Paige 3 times that season. The first time was during the regular season on May 20th. Jones defeated Paige in a 10-5 win. The second time came in an exhibition game after the regular season. 4 teams were involved in a charity event that was held at Yankee Stadium. Jones and the Philadelphia Stars faced off against Satchel Paige and the Pittsburgh Crawfords. For the first 6 innings, Slim Jones was unhittable. Not a single Crawford reached base. The Stars were leading Pittsburgh going into the 7th when Oscar Charleston broke up the perfect game. Jones only gave up 2 hits, but that led to the tying run. And then neither Jones nor Paige gave up another run through 9 innings. But the game was called due to darkness, this being a time before lights were widely installed in baseball stadiums, and it ended in a tie. The owner of the New York Black Yankees, Bill Bojangles Robinson, called the game the greatest ever played. When Jones and the Stars faced off against Paige and the Crawfords in another exhibition game 1 month later, Robinson awarded Jones and Paige brand new travel bags for their efforts. And in that final game, Satchel Paige won a low-scoring contest 3-1. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Stars ended the 1934 Negro National League season in first place and faced off against the second-place team, the Chicago American Giants, for the league championship. Chicago hosted the first 4 games and took a 3-1 lead. The Stars tied the series up, winning games 5 and 6. Game 7 ended in a tie, as the game was called on account of darkness. This led to a pivotal Game 8. And for that pivotal Game 8, the Stars sent to the mound their 24-year-old superstar, Slim Jones. Jones responded by holding Chicago to only 5 hits. But not content to just put in a quality pitching performance, Jones also hit an RBI double, helping the Philadelphia Stars to a 2-0 victory and winning the league's championship. After the 1934 season, Slim Jones was touted as the left-handed Satchel Paige, the heir to the throne. But sadly, this is where Slim Jones' story turns into a tragedy. Slim Jones had a problem. He liked to party. He lived fast and he partied hard. He spent his money before he earned it, often wasting it on booze. When Slim Jones returned to the Philadelphia Stars for the 1935 season, he was out of shape and overweight. Worse yet, he had spent all of his money on alcohol, putting him in a financial crisis. He attempted to hold out for more money in 1935, but his financial problems grew so bad that he eventually gave in. When he did come back to the field, he had lost the magic of the 1934 season. His record was 4-10, or 4-5, depending again on which source you believe. At any rate, his 1935 season was a great disappointment. In 1936 and 1937, well, his drinking interfered in his play. He only played sporadically. In 1936, his record was 2-4. In 1937, he only played in 1 official game, and his record was 1-0. In 1938, again battling alcoholism and a lack of money, Slim Jones asked the Stars for an advance on his salary. The Stars refused. He pitched 7 games that season, but had a record of 0-2. In the winter after the season, Jones became so desperate for money and for alcohol, he sold his winter coat for the money to buy whiskey. Without a winter coat and in a drunken stupor, Jones collapsed and died of hypothermia. Although it's not clear whether he died in Philadelphia or Baltimore. Slim Jones was 25. Stuart Slim Jones joins the list of the could-have-beens, players who showed great talent but for one reason or another, never lived up to their full potential. For Jones, the reason was clear. Alcohol was his tragic flaw. Alcohol was the demon that drained his bank account and caused him to lose his way, despite the potential of possibly matching the accomplishments of the great Satchel Paige. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you have any ideas for topics that we can cover in the future, please let us know in the comments below. If you would like to see more of these videos, please consider becoming a patron through Patreon. Again, we'll have a link in the description box below.